it's not often that I work on old instruments and actually end up loving them more by the time I'm done with them, because usually there's loads of unexpected problems, which is understandable because of the age, but this thing is just gorgeous. Hello everyone and welcome to another Crimson Guitars repair video. Today I'm in the custom shop with this beautiful 60s Gibson belonging to Andy Taylor from Duran. I absolutely love this burst. I don't know at what point Gibson's burst stopped being like this, but this is gorgeous. It's also got that lovely natural nitro crackle on it. You know, it hasn't been force checked or anything, which looks cool, but it's just not the same. We have got quite a tarnished finish. I'll see what I can clean off, but it could be that that is all these marks are actually in the finish and not something that I can wipe off the surface. Now, there are also two fairly big cracks in the side there. I can definitely tell that someone's tried to repair that before. It does look like there's some sort of glue there. However, it's not moving much, which is a good sign. I don't know if I want to start doing a finish repair on that, just considering how old it is. Fine vintage specimen. It is stunning. So you can see here, that area is definitely lower than this. And that is just due to, over time, the tension of the strings are just pulling that forwards. Even though it does seem like it's quite a thick, heavily braced top. But it still happens, because wood moves and it's under tension. So we're not surprised about that. I love these old Gibsons. Look at that crackle. This is gorgeous. So I think, first of all, I'm going to give it a good clean, see what we're dealing with. Tone.
Yes, there's the small issue.
And I want to see if it will come off with the cleaner spray. It's very gentle, which is nice. No, I think that's in the finish. What a pity, but we live on. At least it's nice and clean. Never underestimate the power of cleaning and how gorgeous it makes things look. Be interesting to see if there's a colour difference, because there probably will be from what's underneath the pickguard. There we go. Lovely. So, without damaging the finish, let's try and get this off. Because there are screws in it, kind of tells us that there isn't any glue or anything. You don't want to be brutal with stuff like this. Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. Right, so plan 2, I'm not taking it off. Actually just gonna spray some cleaner on a brush and just try and get into there. I don't want to introduce too much water on the finish either. Those are pretty grimy. I'll give those a clean. See what we're working with. Immediately a rock. Not surprised with that. It doesn't look awful actually. I guess as long as the truss rod does indeed adjust, that'll be absolutely fine. That feels suspiciously easy to move, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. So this is a single action truss rod, which means that actually there's not really much I can do about that hump in the middle. And so I just want to see how out the frets are in relation to each other. But I honestly think the best way of knowing whether it's going to work on it is just going over it with a leveling beam and just really, you know, take a few passes, see how much it's actually touching the frets. Look at that. Whoever made this, not sure if that would be original. Or what's happened, but there's definitely a shim stuck to it, a little veneer. It doesn't look like the original nut, but an interesting thing. Look at that. I'm not going to be filming the whole, you know, fret level crown polish process because you guys have seen that before, but it is interesting to see, just with a few passes, how much of the beam is actually getting contact with the top of the frets. And actually it doesn't look too bad, it just looks like there's sort of a dip in this area, which is pretty standard for acoustic guitars. So I think I'm just going to continue, and I shall be back with some squeaky looking frets in a bit. Cool, so I have now finished the frets. I'm very happy with them. I managed to not take off too much material, and I did end up doing a fall away down here, especially because these frets were the most rocky, and it seemed to suit the job the best. And now I'll be cutting a new nylon nut out of this humongous blank, so I'll save you the pain of watching that. We shall mark it out together. Together forever. I have brought a guitar from the museum, this Hofner very thin. Is it called the Hofner very thin? Yeah. Because it's very thin. This has loads of examples of aged plastic, basically, and I want to use that to give me sort of a rough guide, essentially, to just stain the nylon nut that I've made to suit the Gibson acoustic guitar. I've got some denatured ethanol, and I'm just going to put a little bit in a cap just to dilute the stain a tad. The nylon doesn't age as much as other plastics. And also try not to spill it everywhere. This stuff smells great. Lovely stuff. That's kind of nice. I like that. And of course, we are using the spirit-based stain as well, because the water-based won't work with nylon so well. Gently aged. It's not too yellow. Basically ready to pop it on the guitar and sort out the action. I'm super happy with that colour. I think it looks age appropriate. And now I'm essentially going to be looking at that action. Look at that funky saddle. It's got a saddle which you can actually just adjust almost like an electric guitar. So we'll see if just by adjusting that we can get this to a comfortably playable height. I'm proper happy with that. It almost even matches the tuners. Yeah, so the action is definitely still a little bit too high. So I'm going to try and lower this by probably about 1mm to 1.5 millimeters is all that's needed, maybe even less. So I'm just going to take some of the tension off the strings, just as a precaution. Essentially just see if we can tighten this up at all. That one's going down, which is good, because that's mainly where action does need to come down. So I am going to be using a little bit of some polishing compound. I'm not actually trying to polish it up. I just think it may be a little bit more effective. This should just help breathe a little bit of life back into the finish. And the best way to use this compound, and most polishing compounds really, is to sort of lightly pop it on until it's cloudy and leave it for a minute or two, and then just buff it off with a fresh, clean part of the microfiber towel. And it's super gentle, but as you can see, it's completely gotten rid of that weird mold looking stuff that I couldn't get off earlier with the cleaner or with the lighter fluid. So it's just looking very nice. Still, of course, with its defects, but without those dreadful looking mold splotches. You can see we've got it here as well, and a little bit sort of coming down onto the neck. I think the rib structure's fine and the heel's alright, but I'm just going to do a little bit on this to see if I can get that looking good. Literally just with this stuff, just hand applied, nothing crazy. I'm really, really, really happy with that, because it's such a gorgeous guitar. And it just looks 20 times better now. Whoop whoop, that's made my day. So this is just a little before I go in with the buffing compound super gently on this rib structure as well, because there is a little nitro crackle in this, and I don't want to take any off. So, next thing on the list is to fix up these bridge pins. So, all I'm going to be doing is pretty much a similar thing to how I sort of stained the nut, is just get some spirit-based stain. I think I will still be using the amber. I honestly use the amber for basically any kind of aging stuff that I do. I'll just leave it on for a little bit longer too, see what happens to it. Right, so I'm going to go in with some yellow because the amber just looked too orangey. Cool, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to do the same except leave it on for a lot less time. And also kind of take some of it out of the bud. Just really gently. Just a little bit. Cool, so I've just been trying to find where the crack actually is on the inside of the guitar. And I can't feel anything at all. So essentially I'm not going to be putting those cleats in, even though they've been made.
We want foreign tradition.
This guitar is now finished. I'm really happy with the outcome, and actually working on it I have come to love it more and more. I want it, essentially. This thing is just gorgeous. I mean, even just, you know, I love the sloped shoulders, the design. It's just nice and simple. It just makes sense. And it's actually in really great condition considering its age. Quite honestly, I'm sad to see it go back to its owner.